Blessings to everybody ขอเจริญพรญาติโยมทุกๆคน
สาธุ
Earlier on to this morning, a young child was asking their parents, "Why do we have to come to this ceremony?" So that's what young kids do. But it's actually, even though you might say it's just a ceremony, just a ritual, offering Kathina cloth, it's a ceremony that's been handed down to us for 2,600 years, since the life of the Buddha, since the Buddha was alive. And certain parts of what we call nowadays Buddhism, or the Buddhist teachings, involve rituals and ceremonies. The monks live in monasteries and nuns live in monasteries and have all kinds of rules and practices that they do, what we call the Vinaya, the rules of discipline and training. It's given a structure to the practice of the Buddhist teachings since the life of the Buddha, time the Buddha. And the Buddha once actually said, after I'm gone, the Dhamma, or the truth, and the Vinaya, the discipline, will be your teacher. He didn't appoint another person as a teacher. He just said the Dhamma and the Vinaya will be your teacher. So the fact that the Buddhist community have been able to preserve this and many other rituals, ceremonies, and the discipline of the Sangha, the monastic community, all this time, from the life of the Buddha till the present day, is nothing short of amazing. It's possibly one of the oldest continually surviving institutions in the world. I'm not sure that there's anything you could compare with Buddhist monasticism and the kinds of things that we do, these kind of ceremonies and rituals. But in the end, the important thing is what you put into the ritual. You know, what your mind is thinking, how you feel, what you bring to this occasion today or in any other monastery where you attend. Sure, it would be easy to come and say, "Oh, I've attended these things before," and find it boring or repetitive. There's always things you have to put up with, the flies. Ajahn Larry was just doing his chanting and had to spit out a fly who got too close. I just had to spit out a fly who got too close. Sometimes there's heat, there's rain, there's wind. There's always going to be a few obstacles and difficulties. And the ceremony, as much as you probably saw last year, if you attended last year, or if you go to another Buddhist temple, the ceremony in that place will probably be much the same. But it's a question of you. What are you doing? How do you feel? What are you thinking? What part are you playing in this ceremony? And that's the point of all the rituals and ceremonies that we do, is to help you to bring up very good qualities in your own mind. What we call in short merit or bun. You know, all the Thais know the word tambun, or in English we say making merit. But merit points to your mind, to your heart, and points to the good qualities that we can develop and bring up in our heart. And so a ceremony such as this is an opportunity for you to bring up those good qualities in your own heart, and it will bring you some pleasure, some happiness. And this kind of happiness is a very special kind of happiness because it's not coming from anything material outside. Even though, having said that, I'm sure you've all eaten some very nice food, which made you happy. Of course, we practice generosity, and there is that side of it. But more importantly is the merit that arises in your heart, the good thoughts, the kindness, the faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. All of these good qualities and many more that I'm not mentioning now, they come up in your heart at this time, or can come up. And this is like nourishment or food for the heart. That's what Ajahn Chah, our teacher, called it, food for the heart. And we need that. Our heart, our spiritual heart, needs food as well as our body. Otherwise, we become very weak, unhappy, depressed as human beings. There's many ways we make merit, so coming together on a Kathina ceremony is only one way, but it's a very good way. As you can see, 500 over people here come with good heart, with kindness, good intention, and make offerings, help set up the event, offer the cloth, and make the event successful. But it's really successful in your heart, isn't it? How you feel gives you a good memory, a good feeling when you go home. It's also an antidote, you could say, to other more negative thoughts and unhappiness that can arise in your life. Sometimes we forget, when we practice Buddhism and put the teachings into practice, it's not only bringing you happiness now, but it's also preventing unhappiness arising in the future. Because we are all learning, say, here to practice generosity and kindness, and that will be a cause for these same qualities to arise tomorrow or next year, in the future. And the Buddha said we have to keep making merit. We keep having to keep practicing and developing these kind of qualities and this kind of happiness, because it will keep nourishing our heart over many years to come, not just today, but in the future. And it's this special kind of happiness that arises on the inside. It's not dependent on material things. Yesterday, I flew here from Melbourne, and we were waiting for our pickup outside the terminal at Sydney Airport, and there's a big poster there advertising a new car, famous brand of car, and the catchphrase they use says, "Want for nothing." Meaning, if you buy this car, you'll want for nothing. You'll be totally happy, totally satisfied. To be honest, I don't believe a word of it, but that's how we sell things, isn't it? We try to say, oh, if you have this product, this whatever it is, you'll be happy and you will want for nothing, meaning you'll be satisfied. But if it doesn't take much for us to see, well, that kind of satisfaction is very temporary, doesn't last very long. Even if you are able to buy that shiny new car, how long before you get bored with it or forget about it, get scratched, you use it, you move on to something else, doesn't you? Your mind doesn't feel satisfied or wanting for nothing for very long. But the kind of merit you make, or the good karma you make from things like this, offering robes to support the Sangha, offering food to support Sangha, offering funds to build facilities like Bodhisattva Hall, the kind of happiness you generate there will last you a lifetime, and indeed many lifetimes. You may doubt that because you might not see it, who can see into their future lifetimes. But if you believe the word of a wise teacher like the Buddha and many other teachers such as Ajahn Chah, the good karma you make from supporting monasteries and places like this will follow you this life and then into the future and support you all the way to Nibbana, to enlightenment. It's not a small thing, but it's on the inside of your heart. It's invisible, so you may overlook it or forget it. You see the poster of the nice car, that for a while at least will perhaps take your attention away, and you'll forget all about Kathina ceremonies, and you think, oh, I want this new car, I've got to get it. Or if you've got it, I've got the happiness of the new car. But believe me, the happiness of making merit, making good karma will actually last a lot longer and be more valuable to you. But you have to think about that for yourself. You can't just believe me or any other teacher. You have to try and taste it for yourself, like you are now. In a moment, we'll give the Anumodana. We'll chant a blessing for you in appreciation of your generosity. That's a time to really pause and take in this happiness of helping a very good cause with a very good state of mind, a pure intention, a good state of mind. Because this will be the cause for this kind of happiness to arise over and over again in your life, whatever else happens. The characteristic of merit is it helps the mind to come up. And they compare it to, like, say you fall into the ocean, you're struggling, because if you fall into the ocean you could drown, but if you have a life vest or something that's floating you can grab hold of, keeps your mind floating above the water and you can stay alive. The merit you make helps you stay alive. It helps you to be truly human, helps to give meaning to your human life. It helps you through your life as you have to face the flies or the heat or the problems, the traffic, or the problems of paying the bills every day, all the things we have to face as human beings. It will help you through that, to keep your mind in a better state, to give you some understanding as well, where you need to let go of your negative thoughts, your disappointments, your anger, and how to bring up the more positive thoughts and the good thoughts that come as you develop good karma. It will help you to understand that better and do that better. And we need that, because life is mixed up with a lot of stress and suffering, obstacles, problems. We need a way of getting through that, and this is why we perform ceremonies such as Kathina Ceremony, supporting Sangha, and doing any other acts of kindness, generosity in our life, whether it's helping the sick, the poor, anything in life that we are thinking of other people as well as ourselves will bring us a lot of happiness, and over again. The Kathina Ceremony itself is important because you can only have one Kathina Ceremony a year in this short window of time, 1 month after the annual rains retreat. It can only happen if 5 or more monks stay together in the monastery. So it's not always possible to have a Kathina Ceremony. But it's an allowance the Buddha gave to help the monks who have to find robe cloth, and it's one of the few things you can offer to a Buddhist monk. We don't have money or possessions, but we have robes, and we need new robes from time to time. So the Buddha allowed a Kathina Ceremony. You offer the cloth. Later today, this cloth will be taken away by the resident monks here at Bodhisattva and cut, sewn and dyed into a robe. And the Buddha actually made it quite hard for the monks. He said, you've got to finish by tomorrow morning at the latest. You only get 1 day to do this. Otherwise, it's kind of, you lose some of the merit, some of the goodness. Why did he say that? It's because he wanted the monks to work together, to harmonize. If you're going to sew a robe, whether using a machine or by hand, doesn't matter. It takes time, effort. All the monks have to work together. To set up this event took a lot of help, not just from the monks, but from the lay people, to cook the food, put the tents up, set everything up, organize it. It takes a lot of teamwork. And this is the Buddha's intention, to get Buddhists to work together, to set aside their differences, their ego, the selfishness, all the kind of qualities that cause us trouble in the family or the workplace or in the monastery, to set them all aside, to help. And to not learn how to help. And that is something you have to learn, isn't it? You don't necessarily know when you start. You have to find out how to live with other people, work with other people, help other people. A few days ago, a young couple came to get a wedding blessing at our monastery in Melbourne. And I said, the wedding is the easy part. You just go through a little ceremony like this. We have a Kathina Ceremony. You offer the cloth. That's the easy part. The hard part is taking the cloth away and sewing it into a robe in a short space of time. Getting married, the hard part is going away and actually learning to live together. And that is not always easy, because you have to get to know the person you live with. You have to accept them, get to know what they're really like. Because when you get married, things change, don't they? The real person, the real personality comes out. It takes effort, takes work when you live with someone, just as monks have to work to live together harmoniously, put effort into that. in a family, you have to work together, and if you have kids, well, you're going to have to work out how to look after your kids and be harmonious with them, understand them, be tolerant of them. I'm only giggling because the day of my life as a monk now is taken up listening to people's problems with their family and their work and their marriage, and monks with their problems. So that's why I can laugh a bit. But that's life, isn't it? The Buddha was giving us ways to go through life to be happier as people, and making merits such as offering Kathina cloth is one of them. You may not immediately see that, but I guarantee if you think about it, you'll realize, oh, this is teaching you something, it's helping you. But you have to learn the lessons from this. So on behalf of all the monks here, I'll express my and their appreciation for all your efforts today in offering the cloth and setting up the food stalls and helping this event be a success, but also the continuing support you give to Bodhisattva Monastery. We give you our anumodana, or appreciation of that, and hope that you continue to do it, because it will be a cause for your happiness now and in the future. And I'll also express my gratitude to Lumpur Damrong and Lumpur Sawang from Thailand, who we invited. And for many months, Ajahn Yanadipo was doing their visa application, and it was touch and go. We weren't sure whether they would make it, because nowadays visas and travel documents for monks are very hard to obtain. So it's very uncertain, but that's how Ajahn Chah taught. Life is uncertain. But at the last minute, they got their visas, so they're here, able to give you a blessing, and have been giving you teachings, and will give you more teachings. So I'll express my gratitude to them for traveling all this way. It's just not a small thing, is it? It's coming thousands of kilometers just to join us for these events over these weeks in Australia. So we appreciate their presence here, and we appreciate all of your presence here. We hope this is a cause for your happiness, that you can take something home with you today, not just something material, but happiness in your heart for today and for the future. So I'll now invite Lumpur Damrong to lead the blessing, unless I've got the program wrong. No, I didn't get the program wrong. Now it's the blessing time. So I'll pass over to Lumpur Damrong to lead the blessing.
Sadhu.